Hello everyone, hope you're all well. I wanted to continue on my legend series, and today I wanted to give one of the greatest opening batsmen of all time, without any doubt, and one of the most destructive opening batsmen of all time, the great Sir Gordon Greenidge of West Indies. He was born May 1st, 1951, in Barbados, Bridgetown, and he played for West Indies for many years, and he formed that formidable opening partnership with Desmond Haynes, probably the most feared opening partnership of that time. And he played first class cricket for Hampshire a lot, and he also played for Barbados, and he also played one season with Scotland. And he played 108 test matches in all, and he scored 7,558 runs at an average of 44.72, and he scored 19 hundreds, and his highest score was 226, which came against Australia in 1991. And in one day internationals, he played 128 matches, and he scored 5,134 runs at an average of more than 45, and he scored 11 hundreds, and his highest score was 133. And in first class cricket, he scored more than 37,000 runs with 92 hundreds as well. And his opening partner at Hampshire was the great Barry Richards of South Africa. And Gordon Greenidge did once say that he will never forget in his entire life the opening partnership that he had with Barry Richards. And he said it was an education and also a huge inspiration to bat with Barry Richards. So that is how fondly he remembers Barry Richards. And they did have a formidable opening partnership for Hampshire. And Greenwich does have a record, a few couple of records for Hampshire. He once scored in a 60-over match. He scored 177 versus Glamorgan. And in a 40-over match, he also scored once 172 versus Surrey. That is a record for Hampshire. And he was actually eligible to play for England, but he opted to play for his home country, West Indies. And his debut was in 1974 in the Test against India at Chinnaswamy Stadium, Bangalore, and he scored a 93 and 107 in both innings in his first debut Test match, getting 100 in his debut as well, debut Test match. And in 1976, against the tour against England, I mean, he scored more than 1,000 runs in the entire series. But that is test matches plus the first class matches in the tour. He scored more than 1,000 runs, and he scored a few hundreds against England as well. And he did score 134 notable in a test match where West Indies only scored 211, and he scored 134 of those runs. And in 1977 to 1979, I mean, Greenwich went on that World Series cricket Super Test tour, and he was the fourth highest run scorer, and he got 754 runs in just 13 matches. So that is a great achievement as well in a Super Test with amazing bowlers, or the best around the world at that time. And in 1983, I mean, there was once the fifth match against India, the test match at Antigua. He was batting on 154. And it was the first time ever that it happened in test cricket that a batsman had to retire. He retired not out, but not because he was injured. It's sad. I mean, he had to visit his daughter that was really ill, and he retired 154 not out, and sadly his daughter died 2 days later as well. So that was a very sad incident that happened. And then there was this 1984, the Black Wash series. It's known as the Black Wash series, where West Indies beat England 5-0, whitewashed them 5-0 in England. And in one of the test matches, I mean, at Lord's, Gordon Greenidge scored 214 not out when West Indies were chasing 342 in the Lord's Test. In the final day, he scored a double century. And West Indies won that match. So that was one of the greatest test innings on a fifth day, scoring 214, finishing his double century, and taking West Indies home. And he also scored a 223 in the Old Trafford Manchester Test as well. So that was a very productive test series for Gordon Greenidge. And many of them rate that 214 not out at Lord's as one of the best test innings ever. And in that 1979 World Cup, which West Indies won, obviously, I mean, he was also the top scorer of the tournament. He scored 253 runs in that tournament and was the top scorer. And he did obviously form that great partnership with Desmond Haynes. I remember when I started watching cricket in the mid 80s, late 80s. I mean, Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge was absolutely excellent. I mean, I remember when I used to watch the West Indies matches against India. I mean, normally I would always see they would at least get a 100 run partnership. Most of the times it's like that, I felt. And then Greenidge would normally get out in the 60s or something, but he was the aggressor and he is the one who used to score fast. It was more like Krishnamachari Srikanth getting out in 60s. I've seen many times Krishnamachari Srikanth getting out in 60s. Greenidge used to get out a lot out in the 60s. I don't know, maybe he was just tired or over attacking. And Haynes used to continue, and then Vivian just would come. And West Indies used to hammer India. I mean, the opening partnership was one of the greatest opening partnerships in the world. They put actually in test matches here, Greenidge and Haynes have put around 6,480 something runs, almost 6,500 runs opening partnership in test matches. And they had a 16 century opening partnerships as well in test matches. And even in one day matches, they put on almost 5,150 runs together as an opening partnership. And I mean, the average was also about 52 as well. I mean, so there's no doubt that they were one of the greatest opening partnership of all time. In my opinion, I mean, from what I have seen cricket all my life, from mid 80s to now, I mean, I would definitely consider Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge as the greatest opening pair of all time. And and Gordon Greenidge was the Wisden Cricketer of the Year in 1977 after scoring more than 1,000 runs in that England tour. And Desmond Haynes used to go on and score more runs and centuries, but even Desmond Haynes used to consider Gordon Greenidge a much better player than himself and had a better technique. And Greenidge was totally, I mean, really attacking play. And I have to say, I have seen Gordon Greenidge play live. My father was a commentator for the India-West Indies match in the late 80s in Trivandrum Chandrasekhar Stadium. And I have watched Gordon Greenidge hitting sixes of Maninder Singh and Ravi Shastri. And my dad even said something on the commentary to Gordon Greenidge. He did say something, I remember, and he hit a couple, two, three sixes after that as well. So I have fond memories of Gordon Greenidge, who was absolutely magnificent batsman. And in 91, he did score his highest score, that 226 was against Australia in 1991 as well. So Gordon Greenidge, I mean, one of the greatest batsmen that West Indies have produced, one of the greatest batsmen in the history of cricket. He was totally stylish. He had all the shots. He was very good with a pull shot, excellent cover drive, square cuts. He had all the shots. And he was very destructive. I mean, and if Gordon Greenidge had to play in today's era with these flat batting surfaces and with all the fielding restrictions and the boundary ropes in, I mean, Gordon Greenidge would have created hell for these batsmen today. Sorry, for the bowlers today. I mean, I'm sure the bowlers wouldn't want to bowl to Haynes and Greenidge if they had all these new rules in their favor. I mean, and Gordon Greenidge is one of the batsmen who used to really go hard in the beginning of the one-day matches, even before the field restrictions and all the new rules. So, I mean, he was absolutely devastating with his batting. If he had these new rules, he would have really smashed bowlers around, no doubts. And he was the Wisden Cricketer, I think I mentioned, in 1977 as well. And he also has a record. I mean, he was the first player in one-day internationals to score 100 on his 100th match. In his 100th one-day match, he scored 100 against Pakistan in a one-day match. And in his 100th Test match, he and Desmond Haynes and Gordon Greenidge put 298 runs opening partnership at Antigua versus England as well. So Gordon Greenidge having a great 100th one-day and 100 Test match as well. So that is my video on Gordon Greenidge, who is one of the greatest opening batsmen of all time and a really dashing opener who was absolutely destructive and an absolutely beautiful stroke maker who had all the shots. He had timing, he had power, he had everything in his armory. And he was really good of all the shots. He had the square cuts, really good pull shots. Flick was good. He used to drive the ball really well. He used to go over the top when he wanted. He was excellent against spin, by the way, and obviously very good against fast bowlers as well, coming from West Indies. And he was an absolute complete batsman. He did 7,000, but he probably could have achieved even more. But he was excellent. I mean, 92 hundreds also in first class cricket, and opening the batting for Hampshire with the great Barry Richards as well. So Gordon Greenidge is definitely one of the greatest cricketers of all time, greatest batsman of all time, and an absolute legend of West Indian cricket, and a cricket legend in the international game. So that is my video on Gordon Greenidge. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I'm sure a lot of people will have good memories of Gordon Greenidge. The name Gordon Greenidge gives a lot of excitement to a lot of people because with the Haynes, he was absolutely devastating as an opening batsman. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining in. Take care, and God bless you.